Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how to add beads to knitting. One technique. The traditional way of adding beads is to string the beads along the yarn ahead of time. So you build all of your beads up onto the yarn strand and then you work the beads one at a time into the knitting. I find this technique very fiddly and I don't like spending the time to strand all the beads ahead of time. Plus, I always find it difficult to understand how the beads are going to be placed in the knitting and whether or not they're going to stay on the right side or the wrong side. So this is an alternative to that technique, and it doesn't require that you string any of the beads ahead of time. It does require specialized, a couple of tools. One is a crochet hook that is small enough to fit through the eye of the bead. Now these are some number 6 beads here. They have a pretty large eye. You can use a 6 or an 8. I've never been able to find a hook small enough to get a size 11 bead through, but 6s and 8 size beads work just fine. And what you can do, as you see here, is slide the bead onto the neck of the crochet hook, and then we're going to just take our stitch, we'll pretend like this is a stitch here, and slide the bead over the neck of the stitch, put the stitch back on the needle and knit on. And here is the lake effect scarf with beads added in this technique, and you can see how the beads are added onto each stitch that is slipped in the technique, in the scarf technique. So I'm going to show you that now and demonstrate how to add the beads, and at the same time demonstrate this cascade stitch in brioche for the lake effect scarf. So I've cast on my 15 stitches and worked a number of rows, and I'm getting ready to work a row 1, and that's the row where we're going to place the beads. So we're going to do row 1, and in my stitch pattern I'm going to knit 3 stitches. I'm a continental knitter, so I'm just going to stay in that technique, but it can work either way, obviously. So I knit my 3 stitches, and now I'm ready to add a bead. I'm going to add the bead or place the bead on this next stitch, and this is also the stitch that I'm slipping in my lake effect scarf technique here. So let me grab my crochet hook. I'm going to thread up a bead on the crochet hook. You can see that it's here. And now the next step is to grab the stitch that I'm going to place the bead on. I'm just going to slip it off my left needle. The bead is on my crochet hook. I'm going to slip the bead down over the neck of that stitch, and I find it easier just to go ahead and put the stitch back on the left needle. I suppose you could slip it to the right needle, but I like to put it on the left needle and then finish the slip maneuver. So in the lake effect scarf, the slip maneuver is to bring the yarn to the front. So here it is in the front. Slip the next stitch purlwise, take the yarn over the needle once, and then take the yarn over the needle again. That's the double yarn over in the technique, and then knit the next 3 stitches. So I'll just knit the next 3 stitches, and then I'll show you this adding the bead, placing the bead one more time, as well as the slip maneuver. So I grab my crochet hook, thread up a bead on my crochet hook. I'm going to take that stitch, the next stitch that's going to wear the bead, slip the bead over, yarn to the front, slip stitch purlwise, yarn over again, knit the next 3 stitches. And I'll also point out that in adding this bead placement, you can work it either on the right side or the wrong side. Because of this design, I'm actually adding the bead on the wrong side, but it will stay on the right side of the work because of this stitch pattern. And I'm ready to add the last bead here. So I'm going to thread it up onto my crochet hook down here. Just grab a bead, take my stitch, slip it off the left needle, slide the bead down onto the neck of the stitch, put the stitch back on the left needle, drop the crochet hook, and I'm ready to do my slip maneuver. Yarn forward, slip 1 purlwise, yarn over again, knit the last 3 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and continue on the next row so that you can see the right side of the work, and also see how the beads sit now on that stitch. So once they're on the neck of the stitch and you've knit on, they're in that piece of work very securely. They're not going to move anywhere else. And you really don't have to think about them anymore. Let me just go ahead and knit through the next row so you can see how the beads work. So I'm going to knit 3 in my pattern. I'm on row 2 of this stitch pattern for the Lake Effect scarf. Knit 3, and now I'm ready to bring the yarn forward and slip and drop one of those wraps. So I'm going to go ahead and there's my stitch there, and one of the wraps I've caught. And if I slide that over, at the same time take the yarn over the needle to create another wrap, I'm going to knit 3 again, and now I'm ready to do the slip stitch maneuver. So I'm going to bring the yarn forward, I'm going to slip, catching one of the wraps, and there's my stitch that I slipped before. I'm going to slip it again and let one of the loops drop off the needle. Take the yarn over the needle to the back and knit 3 more. One more time. Yarn forward, grab one of the yarn overs, grab the stitch right there, let the other yarn over fall off the needle. I'm going to take the yarn over the needle and knit my last 3 stitches. Now let's talk about what happened here. All we're doing in this pattern is building up yarn overs and slip stitches as we work each row. So here you can see my first 3 knit stitches here. There's my original slip stitch. It's now been slipped on 2 rows, so it's getting pretty long. And I've got 2 yarn overs here, 1 from each row. The first row where I worked that double yarn over and then dropped one of those double yarn overs off, that's this one right here. It's extra long. That's why I work a double yarn over there, because I need some extra length. Because after I work 6 rows and do the knit 2 together on row 6, or sorry, knit 6 together on row 6, that yarn over's really got to go quite the distance in order to make that knit 6 together not pull up and pucker up too much. There you have it.